hull diagram again. Bingo! Down this sucker to the third deck, from which access to the fire rooms and engine rooms of the battleship could be gained. He pointed his light down the steep ladder, marveling at the 4-inch thick deck through which the hatch passed, and the heavy hydraulic arms supporting the hatch. What the hell was that? He snapped his head around, but there was no peripheral vision in these damn masks. He'd had the sense that somebody might be following him in the darkness, but if there was, he knew it had to be one of those guys come down after him to spook him. He'd seen other breathing rigs stashed up there by the airlock. Damn riggers! He wondered how long it had been since any of them had come down here to check the main spaces. He stepped onto the first rung of the ladder and then reached up and snapped off the helmet light. He blinked at the total darkness. He had hoped to catch a flash of light behind him in case one of the guys was back there, but there was nothing. Nothing but the blackness and the sound of his breathing in the mask. "The other place where the sun don't friggin' shine, man," the rigger chief had said. "It's a friggin' tomb down there, man, and you're gonna see why nobody in the shop wants to make the tour. Besides, they got all those electronic flooding alarms and shit. What do they need a guy to go down there for?" But the ship's soup had laid it out. "Because they're supposed to do it once a month. Go down there and physically inspect the main spaces, looking for the one thing that can spell disaster in a mothballed ship: water. The bilges are supposed to be bone dry, so if there's water, there's a goddamn leak somewhere, and that's serious shit, because rising water can short out the flooding alarms, and then you get what the snipes call a no-shitter going. That big-ass battleship sitting there without one single swinging dick on board and water rising in an engine room." One of the mothballed heavy cruisers over in the West Yard had settled right to the bottom over the period of a month, flooding out the open steam turbines and 8 boilers left open under a dry layup. They had had to scrap the ship. He checked the area behind him, but there was still only blackness. If there was somebody back there, they wouldn't be able to see him if he just stepped down the hatch. So that's what he did, going down carefully in the complete darkness, one step at a time, gently bumping his tank on the hatch combing and then the individual treads of the ladder. When he felt his foot reach the solid steel deck at the bottom of the ladder, he turned around and looked back up to where the top of the ladder should be, and he waited, watching for the telltale glow of another helmet light up there. But there was still nothing. And then he remembered he had 8 main spaces to get through and about 50 minutes of air left in the tanks. Screw it, he thought. They want to screw around, let them. He snapped his helmet light back on and consulted the diagram, his breathing again audible in the mask. Start from aft and work forward. Let's see, where the hell is aft? This way. First space to hit was the aftermost engine room, the hatch all the way aft, port side. Over the next half hour, he physically inspected each main engineering space, stepping through the hatch from Gasoline Alley, shining his flashlight down through the deck gratings 3 levels down to the bilge, checking for any glint of water. He worked his way toward the bow of the ship until he came to the last hatch, number 1 fire room, port side, all the way forward. The hatches had all looked much smaller than he had expected them to be. Be a bitch to get out of these places. Some heavy shit went down in the middle of a sea battle, he thought, as he worked his way forward. Probably why they made them that way. Keep the guys from booking topside. He undogged the final hatch and was surprised to see how loose the dogs were. Every other compartment along Gasoline Alley had been dogged down all the way, damn near requiring 3 men and a small boy to move those lever arms. But this one was hand-tight. Weird. He started to open the hatch and then stopped. I wonder if one of the guys is in there. Snuck in when I was in one of the other spaces, gonna yell boo when I open the hatch. He toyed with the idea of pushing the lever arm down instead of up, closing it, and then faking some noise to make it sound like he was slapping a lock on it. Whoever was in there'd shit a brick. But then he would not have looked in, checked for water in the bilges. He thought about it, his breath wheezing in the mask, looked at his watch, and once again thought, screw it. He opened the hatch. He stopped to initial the small green logbook with the time, date, and compartment number before stepping through. He tensed, expecting a sudden movement or a noise, but there was nothing. It was just another lifeless fire room, the huge shape of the boilers and all the piping flickering in his vision as he stood on the grating above the fire room and pointed the helmet light around the space. The fire room was huge, nearly 90 feet wide and almost